Hey everyone, welcome to Govinda's Garden. My name's Lee, and in this video I'm just going to give you a little spring tour. It's not quite spring yet, but it's starting to feel like it, starting to look like it. So I'm just going to walk around our garden and show you how things are looking. I'm heading into the 4th season since we moved onto this property. It's about half an acre of space, and my intention was to establish a food forest starting with a bunch of fruit trees. And since then, I've experimented with a lot of stuff and have some interesting projects going on. So stick with me and let's take a look. All right, so one of the things you'll see a lot are these goumi berry shrubs. These are incredibly cold hardy. They produce an edible fruit. This is not a well-known plant. It's in the same family as autumn olive, which is considered an invasive species depending on who you ask. But it's similar in its trait that it's very tolerant of a lot of different conditions. They're very vigorous, and the berries are delicious. The birds love them too, and the flowers smell super nice, kind of like roses. So I have a few shrubs. Along the perimeter of this fence are mostly shrubs. There's some blueberries kind of interwoven in here. This is another somewhat unusual shrub called Nanking cherry, and this is one of the first things to flower. We already have fruit forming on it. It's early April right now here in Western North Carolina, and so these are also a pretty nice little fruit that has a pit in it. It's similar to a cherry, but it's a really cool indicator of spring when you see these massive white flowers on these shrubs. You do want to get more than one if you want to get any fruit. So there's a pollination partner, another Nanking cherry right there. Some more blueberries, and then over here we have 4 honeyberries or haskaps. Extremely cold tolerant shrub that produces these highly nutritious blue purplish berries that are very good to eat. And yeah, just some more blueberries and honeyberries. The comfrey is starting to make its presence known as it starts to rise up from the ground. I actually really love comfrey because you can chop and drop. So you can just cut these down, place them near your shrubs or trees, and it adds some really good nitrogen to the soil. Or if you have like chickens, I think chickens like these too. They'll grow anywhere. We have a lot of like wild onions or scallions. I'm not exactly sure which species these are, but I usually just like come and pick one and then like chew on it as I'm walking. Back here we have a few fruit trees. So we have 2 figs. There's one fig, and here's another. This is Olympian. The figs haven't really woken up yet, and I did not do any winter protection this year, so I'll make a follow-up video, but I'm trying something different and just trying to kind of do like natural selection and figure out which trees are gonna survive for me without much effort. But this is a jujube tree that is just starting to leaf out. We can look at the leaves here. We had frost and pretty cold temperatures this past week, so some of the leaves that have already opened up have got a little burnt from the cold, but that's okay. Things will bounce back. And then here's a glimpse of kind of the main area. This is like the eastern facing area of the yard. Back there you can see a shed. That's a new addition to the home. And yeah, I put a lot of leaves in over the fall. I collected some leaves you might see in my past videos, and just kind of laid them out here, trying to deposit some good nutrients and fertility into what used to be just a whole bunch of like crab Bermuda grass and stuff like that. So just slowly trying to create more of a forest vibe. As these trees get older, it's going to produce a lot more shade. That's going to help control some of the Bermuda grass below. And I just want to add a lot of diversity and native plants into the mix as well. But I've chosen to use the perimeter of the fence area to do mostly shrubs. So you can see here, these are currants and yostaberry. I have some blue flags here and there where I'm planting things like oh wow, the name's escaping me, but native shrubs. You know, some of them are edible, some are medicinal, some are just, you know, good for pollination and supporting the local wildlife. And let's take a walk around this aisle. So I have some blueberries. Probably have like 15 or so blueberry shrubs. Here's a new plant that went in during the fall. This is a grafted persimmon. Got about 4 or 5 of these from a nursery called Need More Trees. We'll see how they do. I'm not completely endorsing them, but it was one of those sources. Hard to find grafted Asian and hybrid persimmons. But this guy's in Indiana, I think, and has, pretty reputable. So we'll see. This is a long-term investment. The grafted Asian persimmons, might take like 5 to 7 years to actually fruit. But we'll see. These are pears, so we have Asian pears here and there. There's a Korean giant, and then a Shisenko, I think. I forgot the name exactly, but these have done very well for us over the past couple of years. European pears as well. There's a Chijuro Asian pear right there. That one's pretty new. Let's see. Yeah, so the pears are, pairing up. You can see some fruit growing on there. I have about 5 or 6 pear trees. This area here is, last year I grew sunflowers kind of in a circle here. I did plant some ramps, and I'm actually noticing right now live on camera that the ramps are starting to come up. So ramps, if you don't know, they're similar to garlic, probably in the same family. Highly sought after in the culinary world. They're super delicious, a little less intense in flavor than garlic, and they grow naturally in the forest. So some of those are coming up, and we have some further down in more shaded areas. So that's pretty exciting to see. Here's our fennel. Now fennel, this is bronze fennel. Kind of acts like a perennial in the way that it'll just come up. Like, this is the new growth for this year. Fresh fennel. Like, gosh, this stuff just smells so good to me. And the seeds are delicious. Here's last year's growth, and there's still some seeds on there that are edible. You can use them for cooking. It's also one of the greatest pollinator attractors. All kinds of wasps, like beneficial wasps, bees, caterpillars will come to the fennel, and it's one of the most entertaining plants in the garden, I think, just because it smells so good. You come out here, you see all kinds of different life forms on it. So that's great. We have down here, I think, is bee balm that's going to be coming up. I've put a lot of energy in the past year to acquiring more native plants, native perennials. So that's going to be exciting as we head into summer. This is a hybrid persimmon, and it's one of the healthier looking trees, really strong trunk. The persimmons don't leaf out until relatively late in the season, so you can see a little bit of buds starting to break. But yeah, these things will come later on. Sorry, can't really see that, but yeah, there's another persimmon here. This is a Jiro persimmon, Asian persimmon. I think I have about probably 10 different persimmon varieties growing. Here's another one of those grafted ones. This is Proc, which I've heard good things about. And here's the graft point right about there. It's hard to see. So I'm kind of praying that this stays alive. A long-term investment here. This area is something I'm excited about. It's a little bed of native flowers and plants. We have things like spiderwort. We have bee balm, black-eyed Susans, skullcap, all kinds of cool stuff there. And you know, it's not officially not spring yet, so this is kind of just a look at, you know, capturing what it looks like right now. It's a healthy looking European pear. I usually have tags on these, and I have a map inside, but pretty sure this is an Ayers pear. Bunch of leaves planting. Here's some more boomies. You could just see how vigorous these are. These are like their second season, and they started about that high. So if you're looking for some, these are nitrogen fixing plants too, so they'll pull nitrogen out from under the earth and help distribute that amongst other plants near it. So maybe not the best design, design from a permaculture perspective, kind of having them by themselves. They might be better served, better placed near a fruit tree or something else, because they're good companion plants. But yeah, so we've got a fig. Okay, let's look at this fig. This is, I think, white Madeira. Yeah, this one has some bird damage. You know, birds will come and land on these branches and actually eat the wood because it's relatively soft and they like it. So, you know, this fig tree here was not protected at all during the winter. So what I would expect is that we'd get some new growth coming out from under the ground, but this trunk, you know, is basically gone. So we'll see what happens during the summer, see what comes up from there. I have another fig over there. I just like to try things and experiment and see what works. Kind of playing the numbers game. Here's an apple tree. This is a dwarf apple. I had some pollination issues with apples last year, so I added one more. By the way, if you've never smelled a flower of an apple tree, you should do it. Apples are in the rose family, Rosaceae. So they smell like rose flowers. Really nice. More blueberries. Here's a ever-bearing mulberry tree that's starting to show some leaves. Yeah, so here are the other apples. I have a red wine sap and a couple more. I forgot the species or the cultivars, but this is the new addition. This one went in just like about a month ago or so. So I'm hoping that this one helps pollinate the other ones, because we had a little bit of fruit, but I was doing some research and realized that I didn't quite get the correct varieties for pollination. So yeah, we can see a lot of flowering here. I don't know, I just love apple flowers. We'll go over here. This is kind of a miscellaneous bed that I seed bombed last year, we have a lot of sunchokes or Jerusalem artichokes that are living here in this area and spreading around. Those are edible tubers. They're pretty good, and the flowers are nice. They're in the sunflower family. This is a new tree that we planted. This is a Kousa dogwood. Dogwoods are native to where I live, and the Kousa dogwood is one that produces an edible fruit. Kind of tastes like a strawberry. Really sweet. I love those trees. Here's another fig. So this is the Euclid unknown fig, actually, with 0 winter protection this year. You know, it held up. Most of the tree, you know, most of the life there is of course underground. So we'll see what happens here. I don't really expect much growth to happen from the wood here, but we'll see. This will, you know, most likely be grown as a shrub. Have some more, another fig tree over there and there. Yeah, just using a piece of a fence post to kind of try to align this apple tree. Okay, and then we get into the peach area. So we have 4 peach trees at the moment. This is the biggest one. This is kind of the biggest, actually the biggest tree in our garden. Wonderful peach tree. Beneath it is some creeping Jenny, which I thought a few years ago would be a good ground cover. It actually is looking pretty nice. So we had a great peach season last year, and it looks like we're gonna have a good one this year too. Here's another peach tree, and we have little baby peaches there. There's another one. Yeah, and then going through here, this is a Weigela, a flowering shrub that attracts hummingbirds. The flower shape is perfect for hummingbirds. They love it. Hummingbirds will eat mosquitoes, and they're entertaining to watch. So I want to get as many hummingbirds here as I can. So this is kind of actually like becoming somewhat of a centerpiece of the garden. Really likes it here. Have some more fig trees. Here's another Euclid unknown. Similar situation, you know, and it's next to the lavender over here. It's nice to have some lavender around. More perennial native plants and shrubs. Let's see, over here we have some stinging nettle, which I intentionally planted. It's looking really good. Stinging nettle is delicious. If you've never had it, you can cut it. You know, you should probably wear gloves because stinging nettle will sting you because it has these little kind of spikes on it. But it can be made with a delicious tea. It's a good source of iron, and it tastes really good. To me, it has kind of like a seaweed taste, and if you saute some of that up with some good oil and some rice, you got yourself a fine meal. So I'm trying to establish a patch of stinging nettle over here. A lot of plantain grows in this area. We have a couple pawpaws back here in this corner. Some hibiscus. That's gonna come out in summer. Some of the most beautiful big flowers on the hibiscus plants. So then heading over here, we have 3 cherry trees. Now this I think is, we have one cherry tree that's leafed out and flowered. And then this one here hasn't even leafed out yet. This is a new addition trying to solve pollination problem. But it's all about timing and selecting the right cultivars. So when I planted these, I wasn't as educated as I was now, and these are not ideal partners. So I'm hoping this third one kind of helps pollinate these two. But you want to get varieties that flower around the same time so they can be cross-pollinated. A lot of strawberry ground cover. Some of it is wild strawberry that was here. Some of it is some starts that I acquired, and they just spread out, cover the floor. I call this pawpaw alley because most of the fruit trees here are pawpaws. There's probably maybe 10 pawpaws or so. Some of them are leafing out, some have flowers that were damaged by the cold. But you know, this is our fourth year here. Last year we had one single pawpaw that we were able to harvest, and this year I think we might have 10 or so. So we'll see. This is a beautiful shaded area of the yard. That's a good hangout during the summer, and I have some really cool plants here. I actually have to be careful where I walk because I just kind of planted some stuff around here and I kind of lost track of what it was. Like, I know there's some bloodroot back here, some spice bush. Over here, pretty excited about this. These are called May apples, and they usually grow in the shade underneath trees. They produce a little white fruit that is edible. They look like little umbrellas or like mini palm trees. And I planted a couple of these, and I'm excited to see that they're creating a little bit of a colony. So I'm hoping that these continue to spread out. There's a few more over there. More pawpaws. Some of the pawpaws didn't survive, like this one. This is a grafted pawpaw. It's just dead there, so I'm going to replace that with something else. Here's another glimpse of what we've looked at so far. And there's some, more comfrey here and there, supporting other plants like this pawpaw tree that has a bunch of flowers. I love the pawpaw flower. They have this beautiful burgundy purplish color, and they're pollinated by flies, not bees, and they have kind of a yeasty smell. Very, very interesting tropical plant that grows in very cold environments. Some may call it a miracle. I certainly think of it as that. And then, we have some veggie beds. So we have our garlic. We'll probably harvest pretty soon, maybe in a month or so, and then replace this bed with sweet potatoes. It's kind of the pattern that we found that works well. And this is one of my favorite plants, actually, which was here when I moved in. It's a sassafras. Sassafras is a flavor that's used in gumbo. It's also what was the original, if you've ever had Fruit Loops cereal and you eat a sassafras leaf, then you're gonna say, oh, okay, that's where the flavor of Fruit Loops came. Tastes exactly like it. Here I have some kind of miscellaneous fig trees in containers. We have our potatoes that we started a few weeks ago. Cold damage on those. A bunch of service berries, which are flowering right now. Another wonderful native plant that's highly tolerant of a lot of environments, produces delicious berries on par with a blueberry. Birds love them. You can make jam out of them. One of the earlier fruits. Here's another one of those grafted Asian persimmons. This one's Rossignacca. I think it's a Russian variety. Here's kind of my crop field, I'll call it. I have some winter cover crops like wheat, rye, peas that I'll cut down, and when we're ready to plant things like melons and squash and maybe tomatoes over here. This is south facing, so a whole lot of sun hits that. You know, it's a good area to grow a bunch of stuff. Here's something new this year. These are air prune beds. I learned this from like Edible Acres Sean on YouTube, and you know, other people, Akiva Silver, Twisted Tree Nursery. They have a bunch of videos about air prune boxes. So I tried to make some out of some old fence posts, and we have chestnuts growing in them. So there's probably about maybe 100 to 150 chestnut seeds inside this box, and we can see some of them are coming up here. And then the bottom is exposed to the air, so the roots will kind of stop growing at some point here and then spread out wide. And then in the fall, so I'll let these grow in here throughout the season, and then in the fall and winter when they go dormant, I'll see if there's a better home for them, because I can't plant 100 chestnut trees on my yard. But you know, maybe these will be available to you if you're interested in some chestnut trees. These are hybrid chestnuts that I forage, some of the biggest chestnuts you'll ever see. And actually, I think I have a bucket here that I just haven't had enough time to build another air prune box. But yeah, these are also chestnuts, and they're sprouting, and I need to figure out what to do with these. Might put them in containers, or maybe just plant them in this row right here. But yeah, I, you know, am interested in propagating nut trees, and am just at the beginning of my learning journey with that. So we have some persimmons and hazelnuts in there, and then hickory nuts, which are abundant in my area, that I foraged, and I just put them in this medium over the winter, and now they're starting to wake up. So it's pretty exciting. Okay, so this is a new addition of fig trees. So we have 2 rows of fig trees. These were all planted in early summer is when I transplanted these, because I've been trying to move away from container plants and into in-ground plants, and just finding the ones that work well in the ground. So we have probably, I don't know, 20 different varieties of fig trees in the ground. None of them have really woken up yet, but certainly keep you posted on the progress of that. It's a huge pile of stuff that I need to burn. Been under a burn ban because we've had some fires out here. You know, have a little fire pit, and then some serviceberry shrubs, along with a contorted mulberry over here. What else? So, you know, we have some new hazelnuts over there. We have a native plum tree that I'm excited about. It's first year really like leafing out and showing some sign of interest in living here. Serviceberry. These are hazelnuts. And then all along the row, all along the fence over here, are blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, muscadines, grapes, and much more. This is the 4th year that the garden has been growing. You know, it was just pure emptiness, just grass before we moved in. So it's been a journey, and we have a son now who's 6 months old, and it really is probably the most joyful thing in my life is to just take him on walks in this garden. And every day there's something new to see, and there's always something to do. It helps me get outside, helps me move my body, and I hope this video just kind of shows you about, you know, what a person's doing in in their garden and maybe inspires someone to grow something for themselves, I highly recommend it. And I'll be making some more videos just showing a little more insight into specific things. But I haven't made a video in a while, so I just wanted to say I'm still out here. Life's been busy, a lot of changes, but I'm really glad we made it through the winter, and spring is coming and it's gonna be fun. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.